Hi friends, it's Caitlin and welcome back to the Floating Rock Podcast. I hope you're having the most incredible day ever. Yesterday was Sunday. And guys, if you couldn't quite tell, I'm not the best at a lazy Sunday. That is just not my forte at all. I've made too many an episode about productivity is not life. This is live your life, don't be productive. I'm projecting. Just know that most times on this podcast, I am projecting. These are things I am learning and I need to know. So just letting you know that. And today is no different. Today is no different. So today we're talking about balance, and basically, obviously, I come on here and I tell you what I learned this week. And yesterday, Sunday, well, the night prior, it was a Saturday night. Sue me. Sue ya, girl. I'm 23. I hit the town. Sue me. And, sometimes if you have a little too much fun on the town, the next day you're not trying to go run a 5K. You're not trying to go be in public. I wasn't viciously hungover, I swear. It was just, I was like, you know what? Why don't I have a day in the bed? I never have a day in the bed. So I laid in bed, watched a movie. Guys, I never do this shit genuinely. So I was like, wait, loving this for me. Truly. And basically, I think I've showed you guys before, I like to plan my weeks out in a little note, and it's super cute with all these emojis. And I was doing that yesterday as well, and I realized a day this week that I work, I also have Muay Thai, I also have therapy, and I'm like, oh my god. And it's a lot to do in a day. And I'm the type to want to do something productive every single day in a way, especially when you're pursuing your own thing like this, you just kind of feel like there's always something on your back that you should be doing. And I feel like there's a weird world inherently where if there's a day already associated with work, actual work, coffee shop work, then kind of in my head, I just think work. So then I should be doing something else productive, But because this work that I do is not using too much of my brain, it's pretty kind of muscle memory at this point. There is also part of me that's okay, well, you weren't at your 9 to 5 doing whatever. But I'm like, no, girl, you worked for 8 hours today. You talked to a bunch of people. That is still work nonetheless, no matter what job you're doing. If you're doing anything for 8 hours, that's work and you're allowed to be tired. And so I told myself when I was planning out the week, I was like, okay, on this day, I have no expectations to do anything productive. That's going to be a rest day. And a few weeks ago, I had also labeled a few of the days work, play, whatever. And it's just kind of helped me. But anyway, I come to you today, that was a weird way to segue us to the main point, but I had a conversation with a friend a little while ago, and we kind of came to this realization that balance can be a lot more long form than I think we are fed these days. I feel like I see so much content on my balanced, my 5 to 9 outside of my 9 to 5, just so much content on balance, how to do every single thing, how to have the most balanced day in the world. And that's really hard. Come on, that is so hard. And something I'd also realized was I had this idea to make an episode about balance, but I was like, no, Caitlin, but you don't have a 9 to 5. How can you talk about balance if you don't have a 9 to 5? And I was like, pardon. Let's look at the scientific facts here. If I account for everybody in my immediate life right now, obviously it's all different because it's that includes coworkers who work a similar job to me. But I'm genuinely, in a lot of people that I know, even people who are longer distance, a lot of people I know do not have typical 9 to 5s. And a lot of people's days look completely different every single day. Or at least maybe it is kind of repetitious and does have some sort of schedule to it, but each day of the week still does look different. So maybe your Mondays are always the same, your Tuesdays are always the same, but the Monday and the Tuesday look very, very different. That's typically how my life tends to pan out, is the days that I have work are very much the same, and then the days outside of work are also they have their own similar schedule, but there's a lot more freedom in there. And so basically, I just had this realization when it comes to balance and, the type of content that we all are being fed when it comes to balance. I just feel this agenda that you have to do every single habit and every single thing that you've ever wanted to do to live a balanced life, quote unquote, that you have to do it all every single day. I just feel that's unrealistic and very, very difficult, and most of all, a very hard standard to hold yourself to. There are people who go to the gym, who do a social thing, who have their self-care time, who go to their job, who do it all in one day. However, I'm not them. There's a world, probably a very probable world, where you are not them either. And I don't even know if them exists outside of the people who genuinely make content about it, who that's their job, is to have a balanced lifestyle to show other people, So anyway, that brings me into today and just this idea about long form balance. And that's just something I've been trying to implement more into my life. And I just wanted to come on here and talk about it with you guys because I feel like that is a way that I think will lead me personally and perhaps you to a real, more balanced life, because balance is very important. So basically, this idea of long form balance, I guess I keep dancing around it. I think you can already guess what I mean, is the idea of maybe attaching these habits and these things that you kind of require for your own personal life balance. They don't need to happen every day though, but maybe attach them to a certain day or a certain couple of days or whatever. And like, for example, like you don't need to stretch every single day. You don't need to do something social every single day. Like, I think social life, like we definitely give ourselves, I think we have a better grip on that balance wise. Like a lot of people are social during the weekend and that feels like balance. And I feel like that comes to us a lot more inherently than like these self-care things, because like, you have to plan with other people. So you give yourself grace for not seeing them, and seeing people 2 days a week, like that's normal in a way. Whereas, you have alone time with yourself every single day. Like, so Caitlin, why can't you do a face mask every day? So Caitlin, why can't you stretch every day if you do have alone time every day? But it's just like, but my mind's doing other things. I'm doing other things. But it's just harder to give yourself that kind of grace when technically you do have that open space of time in a way. What led me and my friend to this kind of realization was she was talking about how she felt like she hadn't been super consistent in the gym. But what she realized was, she was like, you know what? Like over the past month, I've been at the gym on an everyday throughout the week basis. Like, I haven't been maybe going 5 times a week, but like if you look at like the amount of time she'd gone in the month, like I would call that consistent. If I looked at the entire year and saw like dots on a calendar of days she went to the gym, and there were a good handful of dots every single month, and I looked at the entire year, I'd be like, balance. Like she's in the gym. She's in the gym, even though it's not every single day. And pause. Biggest note. As you guys know, I love a biggest note of the day. Why is balance so hard to attain? If you're anything like me, you feel like you're chasing balance, you catch it, you lose it. It's this constant chase and this battle with yourself to find balance. Like, why can't you keep it? Guys, divas, your life is a seesaw. As you know, I love a little analogy. Your life is a seesaw. And to maintain balance, you have to have the perfect amount of things on each side, and it balances out. Teeter-totter, we love her. However, must we remember, life is always changing. If you look at my life, for example, if you know me decently well through the pod, I guess, like the introduction of this pageant to my life, the events that I go to now, the rehearsals I go to now, that added something different to my seesaw, and now she's off balance. And now it's up to me to learn how to balance my life now with this new piece of commitment. And then I have to figure out how to balance it out, and so on and so forth. And that kind of new thing that gets added to your seesaw can literally be anything. A new relationship, a new job, a new hobby, a new friend. Like there are so many little nuanced things, like a new health thing, a new place that you live. Like there are a million things that can add and subtract, even just new internalized goals, new projects. Like there's a million things that add and subtract from your life all the damn time. And we think we're crazy for trying to do the same thing every day when you have a completely different thing on your seesaw all the time. Like if you look at it like that, you don't feel crazy anymore for not being balanced every single day all year. Like, right? Like if you're like, well, I'm balancing different things, like of course you're going to have to reevaluate and redistribute the weight on your seesaw to actually maintain that balance. So number one, and biggest thing of today, is give yourself grace, and just know that a lot of times we don't keep balance in our life because life changes, and that is okay. And you do not have to be this picture perfect version of balance that you see on the internet. Anyway, back to like my own kind of version of this, I guess. What I've been trying to do, and another way it's just been helping my brain, is by allowing myself to actually turn my brain off a little bit more, and allowing myself to have play days or off days, which sounds counterintuitive because on said play day, I literally have 8 hours of work. But that's just my own personal life. I'm going to get to that. By doing that, it actually allows my brain to get ready and charge for that next day of creativity and productivity. Like, for example, today was my creativity productivity day, and I felt so motivated and wanting to do things and so not drained because I had had a lazy Sunday right before this. If I was working on Sunday, I probably wouldn't be like, yeah, it's time to get shit done on Monday. Like, yeah. And I just feel like that is honestly a really big part of balance, is it helps you get ready for the opposite thing. I think it makes hanging out with people and going out and going to dinner and whatever, like your social plans, it makes them so much more fulfilling because you just came from perhaps the day before a long day of work, or a whole week of work, right? And then vice versa, if you are doing your own sort of work or projects and stuff, having a day where you allow yourself to turn your brain off and just rest and be social or whatever you choose to do on that off day, that motivates you even more to go get your work done, or maybe, you went on a trip and maybe that motivates you more when you get back to work to be like, if I keep going to work and keep doing well, maybe I'll get a promotion, earn more money, and then I could go on another trip. Like, I feel like they kind of motivate and feed each other. That's kind of my idea here, is just long form balance. Like, you don't need to do everything every single day. You can go to the gym 3 times a week, 4 times a week. You can stretch 1 time a week. You can journal twice a week. You are so much more likely to do these things that you actually want to do that you feel like will give you balance if you maybe lower that expectation a little bit and allow them to be maybe just attached to certain days. Because if you really do zoom out, that will look more like consistency and long-term balance versus trying to do every single habit every single day and then just falling off completely. And I mentioned your version of balance because, guys, I think another thing that social media is feeding us is what balance is in general. I think at its core, balance is for your mind. It's for your internal climate. It's not for literally anybody else. Your having of a balanced life, in a way, is truly just for you and your internal brain and mind and stuff. And you do not have to make that look like anybody else's version of balance. I think the only time where your having of a balanced life does affect anybody else is maybe just your close relationships, if that looks like maybe having more social time to see those close people in your life, or maybe when it comes to a partner, what are the repercussions of how you act with them when you're not living a balanced life, if that makes sense. Are you as present? Are you as good of a partner? Even same with friendships, but that once again comes back to you, because if you are not being a good partner or a good friend, then will they want to be your partner? Will they want to be your friend? It all just kind of reciprocates itself. But overall, I think that adopting this long form balance mindset, if you do remember that balance is just for you, I think that just giving yourself the grace to know that you don't have to do everything every single day, that is balance. That is already a start of balance, because like I said, it's just for your mind. And so if being okay with doing things a little bit less or doing things on certain days, you being okay with that already gives you that peace of mind. Almost in a way, how certain things give you a serotonin hit. It gives you that hit of peace and grounding that balance should be providing you. We don't just say be balanced for nothing. You have balance in your life, and usually people strive for that and whatever that looks like, because it makes them feel grounded. It makes them feel well-rounded and whatever. But you also must remember, once again, that we all live very different lives. I live a very different life than probably you, and vice versa. And our own versions of balance are going to look incredibly different. So that's just another thing too when it comes to consuming balanced content, if you will, is you need to know that what makes somebody else balanced will not always make you balanced. Because also you even have to think about your job. For me, I honestly get a shit ton of social time and FaceTime at my job. I talk to people all day. And so maybe that actually means implementing a little bit more solitude into my routine, into my life. Whereas there are some people who are alone in a cubicle all day and they really need to add more social time to their life to get more balance. It's just, you can't expect your version of balance, your seesaw, to look like anybody else's, because the things on either side are so different for you and the people around you as well. And because, like I said, once again, it's not like you have to check off all these certain things to quote unquote be a balanced human. It's what you need to check off internally for yourself to feel grounded and to feel peace, I guess. To me, balance, the word that comes to mind of what you're gaining from it is peace. Because when you're overworking yourself, when you're only at work, you are overstressed, cortisol is high, all this, or maybe if you don't even like your job, dissatisfaction, whatever. And let's say vice versa, maybe you're in a bummier stage of your life and you're not really working towards any ambitions. You feel this feeling of emptiness per se, and balance. And that's just gonna look different at every point in your life. And kind of like what I said too, a personal tactic that I've been trying to implement and have been liking to use is kind of matching opposite things on the same day. So on days that I work a real job, I kind of try to do my more fun things on those days, my more social things on those days, because it requires a little bit less brain power and it doesn't feel like, oh my God, I'm working all day. And I don't know, it just kind of feels better internally. And then vice versa, on my days that are technically free and open, I like to actually fill that up with my productive things and actually get my work done, because it motivates me more to like have a full day ahead of me and see what I can get done in it, and then also feel the reward of maybe a more social fun thing the next day after work. And then another note just on balance and, you know, trying to add these things in, even if it is on a few days a week or something, or a few days a month, who knows, is it's kind of the whole thing with habits and how people always say to start small, make it attainable, and then move up from there. And I feel like that is kind of the same thing when it comes to like balance and adding those habits in, because balance a lot of the time is kind of habitual in a way. And so, for example, I always bring this up, but like exercise for me is a very easy thing to add balance into my life and to keep as a habit. But I feel like that's because I've like kind of made it a non-negotiable, and I feel the benefits of it consistently. And I feel like by slowly adding things in, you kind of start to feel the benefits of stuff without having to fully commit yourself to doing it every single day. Like if I, guys, still haven't been stretching, oh my God, but if I really did start to stretch actually one day a week, I would feel like, wow, I always feel better the day after that. And that would really intrinsically motivate me to start doing it more. And I think that's what actually makes us do things more, is we do, like maybe you have to force yourself to do something once, but once you actually feel how good it feels and how much it benefits you, that's when you keep doing it because it benefits you and you like it. And I think that's like a lot of people's goals, is to make a lot of these balance like things a non-negotiable for yourself and just something that you do. But obviously, like I said, things change and that's always a little bit difficult, but I think it's always great to start small, make it something that you feel the benefit from, and then in turn you will subconsciously start to add it more to your life. And by adding it more to your life, it's not to show off to people that, oh, I meditate every day. It's to just keep developing and supporting your groundedness and peace of mind and all that. But yeah, guys, those are some of my thoughts on balance today, and just kind of telling you what I've been trying to implement into my life, and just that balance can be more long form, and you don't have to do all of those awesome, great habits every single day, but you can actually do them more throughout the week and assign them to certain days. And even by just allowing yourself that and giving yourself that kind of grace, you already are one step closer to balance. Because yeah, if you just reflect on what balance actually gives to you, like giving yourself grace is a form of achieving balance, because at least to me, like I said, that is a feeling of groundedness and peace and all that gorgeousness. But yeah, guys, wait, this was lots of fun. Yay. Sometimes when I make episodes that are about really broad topics, like some of my more recent ones, I'm like, there's so much to talk about, whatever. But I'm like, I honestly love the ones where I just hone in on something very specific. So I hope you guys like that too. Yay. I've had a great day today, and I hope you guys also had a great day. I always want you to have a great day, and you also deserve a great day. And every day is allowed to look different, because balance is a big thing that can happen every single day, but also look different every single day. You guys get my point. Anywho, guys, follow the pod at floating.rock.podcast, subscribe on YouTube, rate it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I love you forever. It will tell other people like, wow, this is a super legit 5-star podcast. I should listen to it too. Or just tell your friends. That'd be awesome. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Peace and love and peace, and see you next week. Bye bye.